There's a fear few speak out loud. It's the fear that you'll run out of time, never living the fully expressed life you can feel is deep within you. We are trained to believe that if only we can be, have, or do enough, we'll finally be fulfilled. It took me more than 30 years to realize how deep that lie goes and how cunningly it keeps us from the life we've been longing for, the life your soul has been ready for forever. Let me show you where fulfillment actually is, what's made it so difficult to find, and how you can save years of pain you're not meant to carry. I remember standing in a kitchen at a neighborhood party of moms, pampered chef on the counter, Longaburger baskets in the space, all on display. And the other mothers were talking, and I was doing my best to nod along and feeling like a complete outsider in my own life. I had the house, the husband, the child, the nice neighborhood, everything I was supposed to want. And a familiar voice that had gotten louder in the prior years kept asking me from my depths, is this really all there is? I'd already been trying to reconcile that voice for so long, and it took more than 30 years to understand what that whisper actually was. And when I finally did, everything changed. Let me save you some of those years. Welcome to Soul Knows the Way, a podcast for women in the second half of life who sense a soul hunger they can no longer ignore and a longing for depth, truth, and a life lived from the inside out. I'm Kim Marie, soul guide and author, and I'm here to walk that journey with you. Today, I want to share 5 main things that can help you step into the life you might finally be ready for, and a bonus at the end to help you start today. So this voice that I'm talking about, this deep voice within, I heard her when I was quite young, although I didn't realize that's what this was. Of course, we're not taught to realize this or even pay attention to this voice when we're young. But I heard it in school, wondering why things were the way that they were. I could hear it when I was in my suffocating cage and trapping corporate jobs. I could hear it in the upside down, inside out relationships that I navigated over the years. I had this regular sense that something wasn't quite right, that it wasn't whole. And that voice kept trying to tell me, but I didn't know how to listen. Now, in all of this, I'm really thankful that I kept moving on from what didn't seem to fit. As I know so many people stay for the money and the status, that's what we're taught to do. But I kept searching for the thing that would finally make me feel right somehow. Maybe you know this ache, and maybe you've started feeling something deeper in your own life that's difficult to articulate. Maybe you feel that you'll run out of time, reaching the end, still holding a life you never got to live. I'd invite you to take a moment to consider, when did you first feel that? When did you first hear that voice? When did you first notice that? The sense that there's got to be something more. I think we all feel it at some point, whether it's got to be something more or just something's not quite what it should be, right? Maybe you've been in a room full of people and felt completely alone. Tell me in the comments, please, because I don't think I'm the only one that's felt that kind of thing. So even just that, this brought me to the first lesson that I really had to realize. And that lesson is that the voice that whispers to you, questioning your experience, is a very significant message from your soul. And the second half of life is exactly when she gets loud enough to finally be listened to. That persistent voice and restless ache is your soul telling you that the life you built doesn't fit anymore and you're ready for a shift. I spent years doing it all and going after the gold, as so many of us do. We were taught to do that. I was volunteering all the time at my son's school, joined the school board, tons of committees, chaired many committees. I had the business I was trying to build. I was reading stacks and stacks of books and finding as many videos and teachings on spirituality as I could find. I learned yoga teacher training and all kinds of wonderful spiritual guidance around ancient traditions. I did lots of journaling, oracle cards, every tool, every teacher, every modality. I even went searching through religion and tradition and philosophy, anything that could help me. I was looking everywhere for the answer. And the one place I never looked, the one place I didn't trust, was within. I didn't even know it was there. Hidden in the symbols and archetypes of myth and fairy tales is the powerful connection of gold to spirit, light, knowledge, illumination, the masculine, and silver connected to soul, to depth, to wisdom, to the waters below, to the sacred feminine. I was chasing gold the whole time, reaching up and out for more light, more knowing, more productivity, more answers from out there, while the silver, my own soul, was patiently waiting for acknowledgement. Are we not a culture totally addicted and trained for doing this? It's so familiar. It's so natural for most of us. I started realizing the second lesson I want to share as I was chasing after that gold. None of my striving was wrong. The books, the yoga, the studies, but in many ways, as much as it helped me to see and understand a bit more of myself, and maybe even helped me to tap into more of my inner truth, it was also a beautiful distraction from the reality that no teacher or source out there was ever going to hand me the answers I was seeking. No amount of searching in the outer wilderness will align us with what's calling from the depths of our inner wilderness. I'm curious what's been your main distraction or comfort. Share it in the comments. Maybe take a moment to list your distractions and comfort zones that you get maybe stuck in from time to time. You might be surprised what you come up with. So I was on a family vacation that helped me see the third lesson. I was sitting on the sand, watching my two sons playing with my husband at the water's edge. And a voice rose up in me, clear but calm, and it said, "You've done all you can and offered all you can. Now you have to decide what's next." Whew, that was a really powerful moment for me, and it scared me. That moment prompted me to take a bold step. I'd never in my life taken a trip alone or been away from my children, but I knew I had to get out of the noise of the everyday to hear what was calling me from the depths. So I went to Mexico for a week by myself. I decided I was going to do yoga and journal and just move my body. And I wrote and I listened. It was a process of learning to actually listen, not trying to fix or decide anything or create full clarity at this point, just stopping long enough to hear. That week was the first time I actually trusted the voice enough to make space for it. And that was the beginning of truly stepping in as the main character in the second half of my life. When was the last time you got quiet enough to actually hear yourself? It's such an important thing that we need to do. On the other side of that week in Mexico and in all the years since, I finally understood that I never really trusted myself. I was seeking my authority, my permission, even my worth and my validation all outside of myself. And the more I chased it out there, the less worthy I felt because I was running from the only place that had actually lived. Let me paint a familiar picture. We all know the story of how Dorothy walks the long road to see the Wizard of Oz. And this is someone she believed held the power to bring her home. At the end, just as she thinks she may never get home, the good witch tells her, "You always had it." The silver shoes were on her feet the entire time. And in case you're thinking, no, Kim, they were red shoes. Yes, the movie made them red, but this is yet another one of the ways that broader media messes with those beautiful symbols I told you about. The original book, Dorothy's shoes were silver. the symbol of the beautiful feminine and the beautiful expression of soul. While I resonated as a kid seeing this movie, it wasn't until this experience, this deeper experience, that I really got it. So lesson 3 is that the life you're seeking, that your soul is ready for, is right there within you, waiting to be excavated. Dorothy's story shows us this journey to soul requires us to coherently tap into our higher mind, our deeper feeling, and courageous will forces. Do you recognize those in the scarecrow, the tin man, and the lion? All symbols of what we hold within us. Her story reminds us that we don't have to take the journey alone, even if our path is unique to us. Everything, all of it is woven together and grounded in the sacred silver of soul that opens us to the true gold of spirit. The integration and the coherence of our full being, along with the willingness to commit to the journey, is what will help us to find our way home to soul. There's something even deeper here that I really hope will truly land with you. The overculture trains us to adopt 3 familiar roles that keep everyone feeling comfortable. These roles are those of the victim, the villain, and the rescuer. We play them for ourselves and for those around us, just as others do. They're so ingrained that we barely realize we're playing them. Staying stuck without recognizing these roles is the very reason fulfillment remains out of reach. The characters in stories like this are universal to nearly every myth and fairy tale, any story that's there to guide us, because we need to learn to recognize them within ourselves. That's much of why these amazing stories were recorded. The bad guys and the good guys, they're all within us. When we embrace all of what is contained within us, our shadows, our light, we generate capacity to see what soul wants to express through us. Our soul came here to live 3 very different roles, transformed out of those we're trained to play in the first half of life. The second half of life helps us to step into the creator. This is the one who steps out of victimhood, out of the victim role, and makes something new for herself. We're asked to step into the challenger, the one who challenges and questions what it takes and takes action without being cruel, without being the cruel villain. We're asked to be the beacon who stops needing to please or fix or rescue and simply shines her true light forth so that others can find their way rather than feeling like she has to rescue anyone. Dorothy was all 3. She just had to remember these roles within her to step into. And this is the 4th important lesson. You were never meant to be the victim, the villain, or the rescuer to yourself or anyone else. You were meant to create, to challenge the status quo toward evolution, and to shine the light of your true being. Recognizing the roles the overculture has trained us to play reveals the patterns and behaviors that have kept you stuck and your inherent ability to shift from victim to creator, villain to challenger, and rescuer to beacon. But there's a certain amount of responsibility that comes with this. No one is coming to save you. I know that can sound harsh, but consider what it actually means. You were never meant to be saved. You don't need saving, as we're often led to believe. You were meant to rise from the remembering of what is already within you. It's even been said, the kingdom is within us, right? Nobody can step into those roles for you. You have to decide. You have to commit. And the moment that you do, a door opens to the life that you've been ready for all this time. So that brings me to lesson 5, which is ultimately the key to sovereignty. For the whole first half of life, most of us live entirely in the outer wilderness, the world of doing, achieving, functioning, proving, and we ignore the depths of our inner wilderness completely. But that world of mystery deep within us is where soul lives. It's where the sacred feminine wisdom guides us. The soul journey is learning to breathe between the two worlds, to dive into the depths of the inner so that we can walk the outer actually aligned with who we truly are. Your freedom to decide, to choose, to commit gives you the capacity to be sovereign in your own life and to share your true gifts with the world. Never, ever take that for granted. The soul journey shows itself repeatedly as we navigate on our path, and we get to practice stepping into these roles, these soul-empowered roles. I want to share a few examples with you of how these might show up so that maybe you can recognize them. They show up more often than you might realize. In Mexico, I didn't get immediate answers, but it brought clarity to see the next right steps. It was the beginning of much more practice that I'd receive to step into my true roles, the true roles of my soul. I was actually learning to be the challenger. After Mexico, my divorce finalized not long after, and I met a health crisis, a 12-year journey after a medical product harmed me, 4 surgeries and pain on every level, physical, emotional, mental, financial. I was so intimidated by authority at that point. I was struggling to speak up for myself, and that included people like doctors, any kind of experts, gurus. And I started to become really angry, especially angry at myself for giving my power away. I started seeing the villain that I was being toward myself and the villain that was in the thoughts I had toward the systems I was navigating. Now, after the 3rd surgery failed, something in me just snapped. I used this given freedom to decide, to commit, and to choose differently. I knew my body better than anyone. And I decided I was going to interview as many surgeons as it took so that I could have one more and final surgery. And you know what? I did 21 interviews. Yes, I interviewed 21 surgeons. Some I had to pay for those consults, and some I didn't. And if they wouldn't honor me, they were not going to be my surgeon. That was the bottom line. And I walked into those first meetings with like a cotton dry mouth and terrified, but I walked out of the final ones so confident and so clear, and with a surgeon that I knew was going to take care of me and was listening to me. And the 4th surgery was my turning point. My health has been returning ever since, and I found the courage, the discernment to challenge. Thus, I also found the ability to shine and to create the life that I wanted. Listening to my soul's voice gave me my life back. Now, in the years of trying to do all the proper work to have success, to shine, the many jobs in the many realms, I decided I'd only do work that fed my soul. Not the most lucrative work yet. I never felt more alive in my work, doing this that I love so much. I found aligned side work to supplement my income. I built programs out of what I was living, out of my own experiences and my own actual feet on the ground practices. I began finding my voice through teaching, even when I was put down or criticized by people who tried to thwart me. And I created a life on my terms that I felt proud of, and I never looked back. Now, another quick story is a client of mine that was so deeply filled with anxiety and doubt and fear, and even on medication for support. She was trying so hard to break free from a very dogmatic upbringing while somehow honoring her spirit. She was in a marriage that seemed beyond saving. She was exhausted and adhering to all the rules by taking care of everyone but herself. She began the journey with my Sacred Nights of Winter journaling, and then she took a chance and stepped into deeper support and community with my Solace program. And over a few years, she remembered who she truly was beneath her roles. She reconnected with what mattered most to her. She re-envisioned a life that actually fit her And she rebirthed herself into it. She launched her own business, rebuilt her marriage, came off of her medication, and moved halfway across the country to begin fresh. She learned to shine the fullness of her light and step into fulfillment. You could look at these examples, a couple from my own life, another from a client's life, as 3 different cages that encapsulated each person until they learned to step into the roles that their soul came to play. The angry villain trapped in the body she didn't feel okay with, the victim of stale careers, societal standards, and a marriage dissolved that decided to create an opportunity to live her true calling, and the rescuer who tried to live everyone else's expectations and finally became a beacon for all those around her. The same soul voice in each one, calling them to turn inward, to trust, and to rise. I'm 55 now, and I'm still practicing. It's not a mountaintop that you reach. It's not a final destination that we get to. It's a spiraling journey that continues to unfold with new opportunities to practice and to evolve. So I have a bonus lesson for you. How do you actually begin this process in a conscious way? Well, it's not with more books or more training or more searching for the gurus. It's not with some other course or retreat. It's actually with deep listening, which can begin today in this very moment. You will only step forward on the path of soul when you're willing and committed to listening to the voice of your soul. Now, our soul speaks in many different ways, so there's lots of different methods of listening. One of the most helpful that I've ever found is to record what it is that we hear, and that's with journaling. It's a super powerful tool. Soul language is broad, and journaling provides a very big container to get to know it. It's not just about writing your thoughts down. It's actually capturing the language of soul however she may speak. And she may speak through our dreams, myth and fairy tale, through nature, through the body and what we feel in our sensory experience, through our creative expression. Journaling offers an opportunity to quiet ourselves, to settle inwardly, and to receive the messages of soul. It's a capturing, however simply or creatively, of the soul's communication so that the messages don't slip away. There's no right way to journal. You simply need to create space, to pause, to get quiet, to let the inspiration come. And if you need more inspiration and creative methods and a variety of ways to experiment with journaling, download my free workbook, Journaling as a Path to Come Home. It's in the description. Try starting with this little journaling prompt. Ask yourself, what do I need to let go of? And what do I most want to hold on to? Jot that question down and consider the roles we talked about. Spend a few minutes with it later. See what comes up. Just let the writing flow. A few minutes with a notebook before the house wakes up. A single question carried out on your daily walk or into your dream life. Noticing the body's yes or no or sensory experience when making an ordinary decision and writing it down. This is a path into the inner wilderness, so you can gain clarity and resilience to walk the outer wilderness as yourself. I told you that listening to my soul gave me back my life. I meant that literally, in every domain of my life. These lessons are both an invitation to remember what your soul already knows and to connect more deeply with the full essence of who you are. Share what you're taking away from this in the comments. Let's walk this journey together and share how we can continue to go deeper and connect within our soul. Download your free workbook. It'll put you on the email list so that you're the first to know when this year's Sacred Nights of Winter journal comes out as well. And also, I do have a free community. If you'd like a quieter place to gather, share, and get inspiration to stay on the path, away from the noise, the SOULSTEAD is my free community for women walking this path. And you're welcome at the heart there anytime. And of course, if you want to go even deeper, then my Solace program for women, that woman I told you about who remembered who she is, she reconnected to her deeper values and rebirthed herself into the life she had re-envisioned for herself. She didn't do it alone. She was part of my soul support sanctuary called Solace, where that spiral gets walked with ongoing nourishment and support to ensure that you stay on the path. The door is open whenever your soul is ready. I hope that my 30 plus years of learning saves you even a few of those years for yourself. The life you can feel calling is within. It was never out there. It's the soul-led life you're likely ready on some level to step into if you're watching this. It's waiting for you to turn toward it, to trust it, and remember who you truly are. The roles of victim, villain, and rescuer that were trained into you don't belong to you. You were never meant to live those. You were meant to create, to challenge the status quo, and to shine the light of your true being so the world can receive your gifts. You've done all you can by looking outside yourself. Now your inner wilderness is calling, and that's where soul is waiting. That's where the full expression of you lives. Until next time, keep tuning in to the language of soul, because soul knows the way.